I'm Robbie.
Hey guys, I am John. Episode 31. We're in our early 30s now. We're
Yeah.
30 somethings.
And we spent some time with a black bear on cocaine this week. It was
That we
intense.
did. So Cocaine Bear came out earlier it came out last week on last Friday.
Yep.
It's overperforming in theaters. It majorly knocked Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania out of the number one spot. That movie, unfortunately, I think is reporting the highest plunge
Yeah.
from opening weekend to second weekend, and
Yeah. Of $100 million opener, it's the largest drop.
yeah, and Cocaine Bear is just basking in that number one spot right now. This is
Yep.
directed by Elizabeth Banks. An incredible actress, really great director. I really enjoyed her Charlie's Angels, actually, that she directed.
Mhm.
We can thank her for Pitch Perfect, because I believe she didn't direct the first one, but she produced the first one, and she's one of the reasons
Yep.
that got made. So,
And she directed the second one, Pitch Perfect 2.
yeah, and this is written by Jimmy Warden. Stars Kerry Russell, Alden. I can't pronounce his last name, but he. I'm gonna try. Enrique? Is it just Enrique? It looks
Alden
yeah,
Ehrenreich.
but like it looks on the page so intimidating, and then when you say it, you're like, okay.
Yes.
Who else? O'Shea Jackson Jr. is in this, and
Yep.
R.I.P. To um, Mr. Ray Liotta, because I believe this
Yep.
was his final performance before he passed
It
on.
was.
Um, yeah. I mean, can I give the synopsis? Or do you want to?
I
Do you
mean, the
want to?
synopsis is I'll do the
Okay.
synopsis. So the synopsis is there's a plane flying over
Wait.
and
1985. Let's remember the year. The
yes,
year is 1985. The
the year 19 of our Lord,
the
1985.
war on drugs in
Uh,
America is super high.
super
This
high.
is the time of scrambled eggs, scrambling, Johnny Depp, not yet Rachel Lee Cook. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs situation.
Yep.
Uh, this is the war on drugs era of
Time.
our
Yes.
nation. Go ahead, there, sir.
Uh, yeah. So this drug smuggler, the plane is about to go down. He starts throwing bags of coke out of the plane. Eventually, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I just to specify here, this is something that he actually does normally.
Oh no, only if the plane's going to go down.
Are you?
That was my thought.
I my thought was that he normally throws cocaine out the window, but maybe I just interpreted it wrong. So go ahead. Sorry.
That's fine. So the this is all happening over Knoxville, Tennessee.
Based on
And
true events, by the way, guys.
Yep, based on a true story. So a bunch of coke gets thrown out of a plane. He goes to jump out of said plane. As he jumps out of the plane, hits his head. Chute never opens. He smashes to the ground.
Hilarious.
That is how it opens. We then cut to some hikers seeing a bear acting a little weird. That bear eventually attacks and kills the woman. The man is Eric Redbeard, which made me laugh very hard.
From Game
I
of
love that
Thrones.
actor.
Yes.
Yeah, he literally is playing the character from Force Majeure, is what it feels like to me after rewatching that movie recently. And what you end up with is the bear is high out of its mind on cocaine, and hence the name of the movie being Cocaine Bear. We meet a family, a daughter and mother, Kerry Russell, and the daughter being played by, please hold,
Brooklyn
Brooklyn
Prince.
Prince.
She's fantastic if you've seen the Florida Project.
Yes. And then there's so many storylines, it loses me. But her best friend is Henry. They go to the park. They cut out of school because Dee Dee, who's Brooklyn Prince, wants to go and paint the falls. She's a painter. And they run into said Cocaine Bear. there are O'Shea Jackson and O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Alden Eilenreich
You're gonna say
are
his name.
paired
We're gonna say his last name different every time.
every different time. Yeah, so we'll just call him Eddie. So Eddie and David come together, and they are trying to find the coke that was thrown out because Eddie is the son of Ray Liotta's character Sid, and O'Shea Jackson works for him, and they go to Tennessee to get said coke. Sid is a mobster drug dealer in St. Louis. Uh, this is a common pattern. If things go bad, I think this is what happens. Uh, and then all kinds of crazy stuff happens.
Well, also there's Bob, who is a detective who just recently adopted a really adorable
That is
little
true.
dog. He is on. He is the law enforcement agent in a way that is following has been tracking Sid for a long time, and he gets a hunch, and that's why he goes out. And but he Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is hilarious and is
Yes.
wonderful and has so many great scenes.
We have to get to the ranger. There's a ranger, and that ranger is played by Margot Martindale. She's my standout for the movie. I love her in this.
Mm.
Her and Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who plays Peter, who is the inspector for the parks to make sure that the animals are safe. She has a crush on him. The whole all the scenes with her and him. I want a whole movie of them, to
Mm.
be honest. But yeah, so the movie goes chaotic. There's three kids that basically stalk the park and rip people off. They end up running into David. Yeah, just wacky. Talking about this movie makes me sound like I've done a bunch of cocaine. It's ridiculous how many storylines there are for what should be such a straightforward movie. What are your first impressions, John?
I had a great time. I thought this movie for a movie that's called Cocaine Bear, it delivered 100% and then some. Some of the things so the writer of this movie put everything he had in his brain into this movie, and the studio allowed all of it.
Yeah.
There are young kids in this who take cocaine, and it's hilarious. And he's like, he can't believe that he got away with that. There's a lot of kills that this crazy cocaine bear does, and they got away with it. So he was just as surprised as the audience will be that there are things in this movie. But honestly, uh, it's really well shot. Like, I think that this movie is really well done. I think there are horror elements in this movie, and like how you shoot a good horror movie. There are comedy elements in this movie, and they're shot really well. I think Elizabeth Banks is a fantastic director, and I hope, I just hope she keeps working. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but I saw on Twitter, like, she's like, if the script's right, I'll direct Cocaine Shark next. So
So I'm going to disagree with you. I feel like, especially the sequences near the end, they make it to a cave. Everything is very dark. It's hard to even see what's going on. Like, we lose the thread of the story that's happening because of the choices that are made with the shooting. So I had a little bit of a problem with the way Elizabeth Banks made some choices. It may have been her, it may have been a director of photography, but I think the choice to shoot all of that at like a twilight time in caves and then under a waterfall means that
Mhm.
we as an audience are like kind of squinting to see everything that's happening. Like, the choices there are rough for storytelling purposes. I like the establishing shots of like that ledge under the waterfall, but everything from like the cave itself to the final 15 minutes that takes place, except for the stuff that goes like above the waterfall, right?
Mhm.
Because the lighting changes, but like everything that takes place on that waterfall, I'm like finding myself desperately trying to see what's happening,
Where
and
did you see
that
the movie?
sucks.
Where did you see the
Um,
movie? I didn't
I
have that
saw it.
problem.
I saw it in AMC, and it was not their big theaters, but it was fine,
I s
in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it at AMC, uh, as part of their laser, AM
Laser IMAX.
not laser IMAX, just AMC laser, and
Okay.
I didn't have a squinting problem. Yes, it is dark,
Yeah.
But also, like, I hear what you're saying, but also, like, by the end of that movie, you're like, you know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, the kids are back with the mom. They're not gonna die.
Yeah.
Raymond is here. He's definitely gonna die. Um, so yeah,
Well,
but
I think my problem was I wanted the movie to either be more campy, more funny, or more horror. And it sort of keeps dipping its toe in and out of like, here's some family stuff and here's some crazy stuff and here's some, and it never really chooses a tone. So for me, the tones of the sections of the movie didn't mesh. Like what I was saying is my favorite portion of the movie was definitely the park ranger sequences, because I feel like
mm,
that got the tone of what I was hoping for in the movie, which is this like madcap chaos, like characters, weird over the top characters. I think the three like kids who attack David and then are in her room, right? Like all of that
mm,
is the tone I was hoping for. There's all these other aspects of the film. Like I think the kids over the topness and the way they talk is really fun. I think I mean the great line that's in the movie of the kid being like, and there was a bear and it was fucked, like is from like this very innocent looking little boy,
yeah, he
is
was great.
exactly the tone I wanted, you know?
Mhm.
But I just think the movie has like 15 to 20 minutes of the tone I was looking for. And then like the other 70-ish minutes were in different aspects of tone that didn't give me enough camp, enough violence, enough comedy, enough. There's all these other storylines that felt like they were extraneous to the story they were telling. Like this could have been a lean 87 minutes, like Cocaine Bear. There's a couple of setups, a couple of kills, a couple of characters that we get to know. But in the end, like we're starting to describe this and we're talking about like 12 characters for like a 97-minute movie, like about a bear on cocaine, you know? I just felt like lost in the sauce at times, you know?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that like if yeah, if you're trying to give like every character their just due, yeah. But I think when you boil it down, it's like Cocaine Bear is the star of the show,
Oh yeah.
and then so like that's what it comes down to. It's like and obviously being you know, I think that in the true event, no one actually died
No.
in 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 the story of Cocaine Bear. But if you're gonna set up like you know, a horror comedy movie, you need fodder. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I I think I thought that they juggled the storylines fine. Like, because like if you got too much of any one of the stories, it would have just been too like isolated.
Yeah.
So like, the idea that it's a park and a lot of like even when you think of it as like a national park, um, heaven forbid that more people like like if it was during a season where like there were more campers, so
Yeah.
I think that body count could have been higher, but I think it would have been. It's already ridiculous, and I think
Yeah.
that it was the right amount of ridiculous for me.
So I think where it falls short for me is I think there's like four storylines, and I think the storyline of the cops and the park rangers could have probably been merged, right? Like because we're bringing in extraneous aspects of this, and I don't think it made any big difference that Officer Reba is there at the right. Like there's, I think if they had narrowed in the focus a little bit, we could have spent a little more time with the park rangers, a little more time with the kids, a little more time trying to find the kid. Like I just feel like there's, that the mobsters are going to come and try to get the coke, right? Like that's obvious from the premise of the movie and the sort of setup. The having this mystery detective have a gut feeling to drive to another state to be a part of figuring out what's going, like he has no authority there, like there's all these things that story adds in an incredulity to me and an unbelievability. Yes, it's over the top, it's chaotic, but like this is a portion of the movie that probably didn't need to exist. Whereas like if I like that would have been the one storyline I may have cut from the movie to allow the rest of them to breathe a little bit more.
Yeah, but I love the fact that he really wanted a dog, and he gives like and like I mean
So couldn't he have
his
been like the boss park ranger?
no,
And why
because
not?
because like that's boring. Like
I, I
you're
don't know.
talking about
I watched.
drugs.
Yeah,
Like you have to have cops involved when you're dealing with drugs and like drug dealers and all this other stuff. And yeah, have it as like a nice, sensitive guy who all he wants is a really sweet, sweet dog.
yeah.
I
I don't
was
know.
okay with it.
I think my big thing is I feel like it didn't land hard enough in any one of its story elements to carry the movie along. I felt like the tones kept varying too much for me. I didn't want it to be one flat movie, but the premise of like Cocaine Bear is like madness is going to ensue. And there were times where like at the gazebo where that scene takes it eventually gets when the bear finally arrives, then it unfolds a little more. Like when the bear is on camera, I found it more intriguing and more fun. But like the setting up of the human characters felt like a little too much eating my vegetables at times, is the way I would put it.
You didn't think it was hilarious that like they actually like, had a standoff and then he actually went for his gun and he shot him in his hand and it skipped a finger somehow and then they actually pointed it out. They're like, I don't even know how it skipped a finger, but it did. Like that's hilarious. And that's like I mean that's a Cocaine Bear movie to me.
I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. I think what hurt this movie more is that I watched Megan before it and was just like, "Man, this is how to do a campy horror movie." Like, and I guess I went in with that in my mind. Maybe I'm in a bad spot of like reviewing a movie I was writing in my head as opposed to the movie they gave me,
Mm.
because I just was hopeful it would be more fun, and I didn't have as much fun with it as I was hoping.
Well, I mean I had a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
also to be perfectly honest, this was the largest crowd I've ever experienced in a movie theater since being back in movie theaters.
Wow.
So, it was, like, almost to the point in, like, with the world we live in, like, like, people being unmasked and all this stuff, it was, like, almost uncomfortably packed. Like, there was, like, maybe 3 available seats.
Wow.
Everyone went out to the movie, and this was, like, the most raucous crowd I've experienced in a long, long time. Like,
Yeah.
people were people were enjoying making fun of Nicole Kidman in the
Yeah.
pre-AMC theater, like, just, like, "Stroke yourself off. We're back in theaters" commercial. They were,
Yeah.
like, just roasting that commercial. And when Ray Liotta showed up, people were applauding at the end when it's like in memory of, or in memory of Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
They applauded. Um, yeah, like there was a lot of, and like I don't think anyone was hopped up on cocaine. It wasn't like that kind of energy, but there was a lot of energy in the audience for this movie that I. It's been a long
I
time. I mean, I like dare I say like maybe like, there was a lot like, honestly, the first one I could think of is, like, when The Force Awakens first came out, that, like,
wow.
energy of, like, "It's another Star Wars movie that's not a prequel excitement." Like, that's the kind of excitement for this movie I experienced, and I was like, I don't know, maybe that put me in, like, that kind of energetic mindset, but I
Well,
had a lot of fun.
the theater I was in was an afternoon showing, and there was probably about 25 or 30 people there, so more than I was expecting for sure.
Mm,
And what was really interesting about it was that there were people in the audience that were on board. There were
mm,
very loud guffaws, lots of like whooping it up throughout the movie. I could hear a lot, so it was good to see this movie in a theater. I feel like if I sat on my couch, it would be a completely different experience, even more so than what I just saw. So
mhm.
I was glad to see it in a theater, and I was surprised the amount of people in an afternoon showing on a Friday.
Yeah.
It's got some energy for sure. People are excited to see it. I think it was it's mostly the idea that like I can't believe there's a movie called Cocaine Bear and it's actually happening. It's not like a
No one can
trailer
believe
in
it.
a Quentin Tarantino movie, right? Like it's not a grindhouse movie.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can believe that this movie got made, so,
Yeah.
um
It
so
was
I'm just
fun,
excited that
not as
it's
much fun
happening.
as I was hoping for. I'm not trying to
Mm,
yuck your yum. I'm glad you had a really good time. I think I'm interested to see what Elizabeth Banks does next. One thing I saw that made me laugh was it was a large alligator, and its eyes were red, and it was like Meth Gator coming in July of 2023. And I was like, oh man, are we about to have like Sharknado influenced, like drug infused animals be the next thing that happens? And I think it's happening. So
I'm all for it. Bring it on. It's all good.
so
I
I
mean,
think that's it for us this week, unless you got
yeah.
more to say about this amazing film.
I mean, I don't think they need to diversify the drugs in which the animals take. I think it can be cocaine. I think cocaine can be the
I
the
think there could
joining
be like a
factor for all
series
of
of
it.
movies directed by Elizabeth Banks and written by Jimmy Warden that are cocaine include animal, but I think the knockoffs are going to be
Really?
like meth, anaconda, right? Like I think there's going to be some really fun ones that'll come out of this.
Well, I mean, the mockbuster for this will probably be like Heroin Panda or something. I think Heroin Panda is good.
So it just falls asleep
Yeah, well, whatevs. I
in a
mean,
pile
they're
of
already
bamboo.
like that. Yeah. I guess, yeah. I mean, so that's the thing, like, right? Cocaine is like the drug that like amps you up. So it has to
Could be
be
speed, could be meth, could be there's some other ones. All right, no more drug talk for us. This has been fun chatting
maybe
with
Crack
you.
Panda. Crack.
Crack Panda, there you go. Please rate and review us wherever you find us. Find us at geekonfilm.com, geekonfilm.com on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Robbie the Geek everywhere. John is John Hoche, JONHOCHE. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Have a good week.